Hi everyone, I wanted to speak to you about the free from food scam. I think I've been upsetting people about this recently, so why not upset some people here too? No, that's not my aim, but I know that we all fancy a treat occasionally. The thing is it's not just the junk food from the supermarket that is junk for us. Actually, a lot of other things that we tell ourselves are healthy are not. So what I mean by that is that, when, and I've written a blog about this, so I'll link that below. But when we start realizing that we don't want to eat gluten and soya and things like that, we tend to then move over to free from stuff. Unfortunately, pretty much every single free from food from a supermarket is horrendously toxic. It has more junky, chemically stuff in it than even the normal junk food in the supermarkets. It's full of seed oils and numbers and preservatives and fake sugars and all sorts of rubbish that is really bad for us. The thing is, though, is so are the health food versions. And what I mean by that are like the raw vegan cakes and treats and things like that. And I know I was super into all of that, and I used to make tons of it. And I've shared recipes here on Instagram, on my website, in my books, of these healthy things that we can eat. The problem is they're not seasonal, they're not local, and they're not natural. So they actually still do cause inflammation, irritation, and other problems for us. So if we want to have a treat, and a treat should be occasionally, not every day, otherwise it's become a crutch, for whatever reason that is to really consider what we're eating. Is it seasonal? Is it local? Is it natural? Because if it's not, then it's doing almost as much harm, if not just as much harm, as the rubbish that you buy from the supermarket. Because it is full of almonds and nut butters and cacao and all this other stuff that sounds wonderful because it's all organic and whole foods and things like that, but it's not seasonal and local. Sometimes it is. If you are having treats and you live in a country where there's certain, I think every country probably has certain nuts available. If you use those nuts in season and you make something with the fruits that are also in season at that time of year, then that's fine. Your body will be able to utilize that, as long as you're not using huge amounts. And this is the other thing, is these nuts and seeds that are generally in these kind of raw vegan healthy cakes and things, we're using them in huge quantities. Naturally we would have had just a few seeds and nuts, fruits and veg that were seasonal and predominantly animal fats and proteins. But what we do when we make these kind of health cakes is we're using packets and packets of these things. There is hundreds of different seeds and nuts and things in some of these cakes. By the time you've added in your nut butter for the caramel bit and maybe the nut milk for doing something else, and then your almonds for your base and your cashews for your cheesy bit, and I know I've made them all myself. So what we're doing is we're using huge quantities of these. We're using them out of season, and for most people they're not local either. So they will be causing inflammation, irritation, and other digestive problems as well. So what I recommend is, if you feel that you want or need in some way treats, is to have them local, seasonal, natural. At the moment in Portugal, it's spring. All the sheep and goats and stuff have got babies, so yogurt, it would be abundant. So is to consider something like full fat yogurt, and at the moment it's a lot of citrus available, so squeezing lemon or grapefruit or something like that into that yogurt, and that would be a nice seasonal, local, natural treat, full of fats as well to counteract the high sugar content of our fruit these days. Um, as the seasons go, we make our way through the seasons. Soon there will be berries. Then in the kind of late summer, autumn, it's apples and pears. Throughout the winter, we have what do we have? Persimmon and pomegranate and oranges and things like that. So it's really looking at what is local, what is seasonal, what is more natural for us to consume, because then we have the right microbiome for it. Then we will uptake the nutrients from it. It won't upset our digestive system so much. And we're not eating it all year round as a treat every day or every few days or once a week, which is not a natural way for us to consume foods, and does cause, as I say, inflammation and irritation and digestive problems and things like that, which has a knock-on effect with other things. Eating foods that are not local and seasonal for us also stresses the body out. So it's an anti-adaptogen. If you're eating foods that are local and seasonal, you're getting outside, it's an adaptogen for you. And eating foods that are not local and seasonal for us is not giving us the nutrients that we do require in those times of the year to fuel ourselves in the best possible way. It will also be, causing a whole host of other health issues because we're not living as naturally as we can. So free from foods are a complete scam. What we really need to be eating is locally, seasonally, naturally. So that is predominantly fats and proteins with local seasonal nuts and seeds as and when they are available, and not in huge quantities, and local and seasonal fruits and vegetables as and when they're available, but again not in huge quantities, because the sugar content of these fruits and in vegetables as well is much higher than it ever used to be. So we're not used to consuming that huge amounts. So, and the last thing I'd like to say also is that if we're thinking that we need to have a treat every day, then that means there's something seriously out of balance, and that's another invitation to look at the root cause, look at what's happening, why we're craving it. Are we addicted to carbs and sugars? Are we needing something sweet in our life because life feels a bit bitter at the moment? There are lots of mental and spiritual reasons that we might crave treats really frequently, but there are also lots of physical reasons as well. And also the consuming of treats frequently upsets us physically, as I've mentioned, but also mentally as well, because it is not giving us what we need to fuel ourselves in the correct way throughout the year. And it's causing other things like digestive imbalances, which affect our serotonin and things like that. So I'm not saying don't go and have your treats. I'm just saying that if your treats have become crutches because they're every day, then there is something to address there. And if they have become daily as well, then it doesn't matter if they're from the supermarket or they're whole food organic. Your body will not be dealing with them very well, and they could very well be causing additional inflammation, irritation, and digestive problems, which leads to lots of other problems. With thinking that we're doing something really healthy when actually, in fact, it's not natural for us. And that's the thing. It's trying to, where possible, be as natural as possible, so that our body thrives. It doesn't just survive and make do with, what we're fueling it with and our environment and thoughts and things like that. It actually thrives. And that's the difference. If we really want to thrive, if we really want to feel super energized, really, happy, feeling great in our bodies, sleeping well, all these other things, then it is looking at how we're fueling ourselves, and that is, definitely food and drink, but it's also light and environment and things like that as well. So we're doing that in any way we can to be as natural as possible. So it's not buying weird and wonderful gadgets and doing weird and wonderful things. It's actually getting back to basics: fats, proteins, seasonal fruits, nuts, seeds, occasionally. Getting outside, getting connected with the earth, getting sun on our skin, getting sun in our eyes, not wearing the glasses and sun creams and things like that. So it really is, how do we fuel our body in the best possible way to get the most out of it that we can, and to feel amazing mentally and physically. And being seasonal, local and natural as possible is how I not only believe that we do this, I know I can see it. I can see it in myself, I can see it in my clients. It's how we heal and how we thrive, without spending tons of money on supplements and therapies and weird and wonderful gadgets and gizmos and various other stuff. It's how we naturally as human beings are meant to be. Any questions about that, just ask. I'm happy to answer. Speak to you soon. Ciao.